It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here. That's what you've earned here tonight.
Forget about the crowds, the size of the school, their fancy uniforms. And remember what got you here. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing.
It's down to the wire with Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
Oh, Petey!
On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, the great and annoying Speedy Petey. As you know, you can reach us by calling us at 631-965-4990. And remember, you can go to our network website by going to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. And guys, I will say this over and over again because this is the most important thing to our network. What do you guys got to do? Well, it's very simple. If you have an Apple phone, you go to your iOS store and you download our app by going to WWSRN. And if you have Android, all you have to do is go to the Play Store and put in Worldwide Sports Radio Network, and there you go. It's right at your fingertips. You can watch our shows. You can listen to our shows. You can watch the clips of our shows. You can read our stories. You can see all our new shows that are coming up in June. So, guys, if you don't have it, download it. I don't have to mention it over and over again. You guys should know. Speedy, how was your night last night? I know we had a little bit of fun after the fact of the show. We had a great show last night, and we have a great show lined up for all the fans today. What did you do last night when you went home?
Mainly just edited, really, because the guest clips took forever to keep going. Shout out to the guests we had yesterday. Great interviews from both Steve Owens and Eric Hasseltine, and that was really it. And today I just sent them to them.
Well, at 6:30, we're going to be talking to James Madison softball head coach Loren LaPorte. LaPorte, I'm sorry. And at 7 o'clock, we will be talking to James Madison baseball assistant head coach, recruiting coordinator Alex Guerra. You see, you should be telling me this before the show and giving me the pronunciation of their name. But, of course, Speedy doesn't do that. That's what my producer does. He leaves me to string along. But anyways, before we get into our interviews, I do want to get into a particular subject. And the New York Mets right now has no owner. There was an owner that bought into the New York Mets in the beginning of last year in Cohen, who lives out here in Long Island, multi-billionaire, a hedge fund owner. And that didn't work out because the Wilpons decided to put into that contract that they would own the rights to control the team for almost 5 years until he becomes 80% owner after that, which Cohen eventually decided that I am not going to throw a significant amount of money into this team if I don't own the team and I don't have any control of the decision-making moving forward.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing was when do they get full control of the team, and that was a big problem with their current owners, which no Mets fan likes. So here we are trying to find another one, and maybe there will be one coming.
Then a story came out a couple of months ago that Alex Rodriguez and Jennifer Lopez and their team of owners wanted to buy the team. And it's been going in and out. Alex Rodriguez, and I'll tell you this right now, Alex don't have that kind of money. He needs a bunch of people. He needs J-Lo. Right. He probably needs Michael Jordan or whoever he's going to bring in, hedge fund owners or whoever he knows, business owners that can help him out, because the Mets are going to probably sell, the Wilpons are going to probably sell the team for about $3 billion.
Right. Derek Jeter, when he bought the Marlins, needed, I think, 3 other people to do that. Now you're buying the Mets, who are a far more valuable organization. And, yeah, A-Rod has more money than Jeter, I think. But in terms of the amount of people being to buy a New York market, it's going to take a lot.
When you think of the New York Mets right now and the way this team is run, and it's a joke. I mean, you're hearing that Harvey wants to come back. I mean, it's absolutely – the Dark Knight might return. The Dark Knight has been the Black Knight since he left the team because he hasn't done anything in the MLB.
The Dark Knight has been the Joker.
No, he's the Black Knight. And he's not the Dark Knight anymore. He's the Black Knight.
Right. He's
He
the Joker,
completely
the Joker of the
disappeared.
town.
He disappeared in the Black of the Night. So nobody knows where he is.
That is true.
But this organization has been a laughingstock in professional baseball. This is an organization that is one of the richest organizations and makes one of the most amount of money through their fans and through their endorsements throughout the baseball world, the MLB. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the owners do not want to put the money into the team and the players is absolutely ridiculous. The Wilpons are probably the worst owners in professional sports, especially in New York. You're talking about some of the worst owners in professional sports here in New York. James Dolan, who hasn't really won it since the 70s. That was his father. And when you think of the only organization that's won is the Steinbrenners. It's the Yankees, and they haven't won since 2009.
Right.
And you talk about the Rangers and the Islanders. The Islanders have finally figured things out with Malkin and their team of owners. Mm-hmm. And the Rangers, even though Dolan owns the team, he doesn't run the team. And they've played pretty well for the last, I would say, 10 seasons.
Yeah, they've been steady for the most part, but they've had their share of bad contracts, too.
And then you talk about the Jets with Woody Johnson and the Johnson family. And shout out to the Johnson family because I really never gave a shout out to that organization. Rest in peace to their mother who passed away about a month and a half ago. Lived a long-lasting life, 90 years old. So I give a shout out to the Johnson family. I really never had the opportunity to do that. So may she rest in peace. And hopefully that this team finally moves in the right direction with Douglas running that organization. And maybe that was the last gift from the mother and the Johnson family to the Jets fans. But to me, the worst ownership in the MLB, the worst ownership in New York goes really to the Wilpons. And this organization has been all over the place. Over the years, bringing in bad contracts, deciding to go with this coach to that manager to this GM. This organization had an opportunity to bring in a very good, very young GM from Tampa. He winds up going to Boston. They interviewed him, and they bring in a guy that has no experience whatsoever as a GM. This is an organization that's been in shambles since the organization won and got into the World Series 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, even the trades that looked good on paper, too, that they've had over the years, or even in the free agent signings, even those, a lot of those didn't work out. Look at K-Rod, the year after he led the major league record and set the major league record for saves. He comes over to the Mets and he struggles. Edwin Diaz this year. You had Jason Bay. Look at all these names that just don't work out in their primes, too, that haven't worked out either. And then the thing we always know about them, they're cheap and they settle.
Well, and that's the problem when you think of the New York Mets is that is what they do. They settle for whatever they can get. And as a fan, and I'm not a fan, but you are a fan, and there's a lot of...
Yeah, second and third tier free agents.
Well, there's a lot of Met fans out there, here, especially here in Long Island, and throughout the world, really throughout the country, there are a lot of Met fans. There are Met fans in Florida, there are Met fans in L.A., there are Met fans in even Houston and Texas when I was over there. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of Met fans out there, and they're completely fed up with the Wilpons and the organization.
As they should be.
So now there are stories coming out that the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers and the owner of the New Jersey Devils, he owns both teams, and Mr. Harris is in the bidding war to get this deal done and take the Mets from the Wilpons, which to me, anybody and everybody would be better than the Wilpons.
That's not saying much.
You think of the New York Mets, and I'm telling you, I've been a fan of really bad teams over the years. Okay, I'm a Jet fan. The Jets have not won, even in Rex Ryan era. How many championships did they win? 0. And how many AFC title games did they go with Rex Ryan? 2 in the last 25, 30 years. This is a team of the New York Mets that has been in the World Series 4 years ago, and they were in the World Series in 2000. But they haven't won a championship since 1986. Mm-hmm. And that has a lot to do with ownership. This is not Leon Hess anymore. This has everything to do with the Wilpons and that organization. I don't want to hear about the father and the brothers fighting. They should have sold the team years ago. Years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that they're willing to sell the teams right now and sell the team right now is because the family is arguing. The family are not getting along. The two brothers are absolutely appalled with one another. And the father just wants to get rid of the team because they can't afford it anymore.
And Jeff, for the most part, Jeff Wilpon has really been that driving force that his ego has just gotten too strong. A lot of it with Fred Wilpon, the father, has really been more conventional method. I mean, still not great, but it's a more conventional method, but it's really Jeff's ego that has really taken over, and he's shied away from a lot of big players. Again, he shied away from these decisions just because of his money. He wants his money and to keep his money, and of course, that has screwed the team.
So when you think of the New York Mets, and I know a lot of Met fans out there are completely disgusted of this organization, and you should be, because this organization has not really done what they were supposed to do. They had a chance to win 4 years ago, but the incompetence of Terry Collins and keeping Matt Harvey out there, because Matt Harvey wanted to be out there and he wanted to stay out there, and he was pitching one of the best games we've ever seen in the World Series. And he winded up costing the Mets an opportunity to possibly go further into that series, and who knows what could have happened. This is an organization that's been a complete joke of a team, and really the way they run their organization. Everybody makes fun of the Johnson family and the way they run the New York Jets. If you think they're funny, just take a look at what the Wilpons have done. I mean, seriously. They have been really penny pinching over the last 10 years. And it has a lot to do with their investments, and I'm not going to get into their investments because everybody knows the Madoff situation, and they keep saying, no, they got money, and they have the opportunity, and they've spent money over the years. Right. Really, how much have you spent over the years? I want to hear it from the fans. Well, they have. They spent over $100 million the last couple of years.
Yeah, on second and third-tier free agents. That's not going to win you championships. You don't win. You have to develop your own players, and then you fill in the names with big free agents.
When you think of New York, you think of winning for the fans. And there's not a bunch of fans in this world that are bigger and more exciting fans than New York fans. And I'm not saying that because I'm from New York. You ask anybody. Right. You ask anybody in professional sports, and you can ask with the New York Rangers. Why did Panarin go to the Rangers? He had his choice to go to the Islanders. He had his chance to go wherever he wanted. He was one of the best players. Right. He wanted to play in Madison Square Garden. Why? Because it's the world's most famous arena. It's New York City. It's the New York Ranger fans. That's why he wanted to come here. When you talk about years and years of championship competitive teams, and there were great times in New York. Great times. And there have been a lot of bad times. A lot.
Mostly the bad times. Except for
for you, it's been bad.
Well, yes, for me, I got the 2 with the Giants, which is nice, but for me, it really hasn't been good. I mean, like I said, the Rangers have been good, but they didn't win, and the Mets and the Knicks, they are dysfunctional ownership.
Completely dysfunctional.
Dysfunctional ownership.
Completely dysfunctional, and that's why when you talk about trying to compare and contrast both teams with the Yankees, and listen, you can't compare the Yankees to the Mets, and the Mets can't be compared to the Yankees, because the Yankees are not only the richest baseball team in professional in the MLB, but they're one of the richest teams in professional sports. So, and their organization's probably worth about $5 billion. Mm-hmm. So you can compare the Yankees to the Dallas Cowboys. That's where you can compare.
I think they're second on the Forbes list after the Cowboys among American sports teams.
So when you think of the New York Mets, and I don't know anything about Mr. Harris. I really don't. I don't know. I know his team, as far as the 76ers, they've gotten better, but they've had a lot of losing seasons before they've gotten better.
Right, and they've had their share of bad contracts, too, recently. And
who cares about bad contracts?
Well, again, you look at that when you see who the owners have gone after, what kind of reputation you could expect. Obviously, it varies with different sports. He has the Devils, he has the 76ers already, and I think that for the most part that both teams lately have been up and down. So judge that for yourself, and the Mets are always like that anyway.
Well, how long has he been the owner for the Devils?
I will look that up, but I'm not entirely sure. But again, the Devils, I think
they've been a pretty good team. They really have.
I think for the most part,
if he's been the owner of the Devils for at least 20 years, he's won championships.
Yeah, I got to see how long, because let's see.
5 years, 5 children.
5 years, so he was not part of that. Oh, he might have been part of the 2012 team that went to the Cup.
How long has he been the owner of the team? Where does it say that?
2011. So, yeah, he was part of Oh, no, 2013. So it was the year after they went to the Cup and lost to the Kings. So,
but he's been around for a team that has been successful, and they have won. Not win championships, but they've won. They've been in the playoffs a couple of times, and they're a winning organization. Right. That's what they do. So the 76ers right now have been a consistent playoff team, and the Devils have been a consistent playoff team, really not the last 2 years, but from 2013 really to 2017, they've been consistent in the playoffs and been a competitive team. So when I look at the New York Mets, should the Mets move on from the Wilpons? I think anybody, even the Johnson or even Dolan taking over the team would be better for the New York Mets and their organization.
Do we really want to move on to have James Dolan on another team? Oh, jeez. I don't know if I necessarily want that, especially for baseball. We've seen if they give them more bad contracts, we've seen that hinder franchises too at the same time. Now the Mets have the opposite problem, but it's still something that we see now. Teams like the Angels, teams like the Tigers, they've been cash strapped and have had trouble rebuilding as a result. I really don't want to have that if James Dolan gives out bad contracts.
To me, as a New York fan, and I am not a Mets fan. Anybody that knows me, I don't root on the Mets. I'm a New York Yankee fan. I was born a Yankee fan. I've been growing up when the Yankees were very, very bad in the 80s. I talk about it all the time. I've been a Don Mattingly fan ever since, and I am not a Derek Jeter fan. And everybody would know that if you listen to this show. I actually dislike Derek Jeter very, very much as a player. And yes, he was a decent captain, but when the Yankees were still a very good team, the guy that players looked up to, and you can ask any player, I've interviewed players, it was Alex Rodriguez. It wasn't Derek Jeter. So when I think of New York sports, we are a losing state. We have been a losing state for the last 20 years, and we have not been a really good run organizations in professional sports. The Giants have won a couple of championships in the last, I would say, 15 years. The Jets we've talked about the Jets, and the Yankees have won since they've won one championship in 2009. They haven't won since then from 2000. So there has not been winning organizations here in New York. And the Mets have been fiending for a championship competitive team. And there are better Met fans in here in New York than Islander fans, even Ranger fans. There are more Met fans out here in New York than Ranger fans. And that tells you something about the Met fans. And you heard what do they call him? The Panda? Who's their first baseman?
Pete Alonso.
Yeah, the giant panda.
Polar bear,
whatever. Pete Alonso has come out and said that the Met fans are probably the best fans he's ever been around. And yes, he plays for the Mets, but he's been all around. He played in Dodger Stadium. Met fans are absolutely dedicated to their team and their organization, no matter how bad the Wilpons are.
And if you watch the West Coast games a lot of the time too, at night, you're going to see a lot of Mets fans too in the road stadiums as well. It just shows their passion level. And like I said, like we've been saying, the problem is they just keep making the same mistake over and over again. They get second and third tier free agents, usually older, and impressively injury prone all the time. Whenever they come here, always injury prone. And yeah, that's the same cycle, and that's the Wilpons.
It would definitely bother me as a New York fan that if the Mets don't sell this team, this organization is going to go even further downhill. And I don't want to talk about trying to compare and contrast what players they have on their team. Well, the Mets they look like they're a pretty good team this year. Who cares? They can look as good as they look on paper when the season starts, how many games they play. And we'll get into that a little bit later, 76, 72, or even 46. It doesn't matter. When you look at the Mets as a whole and what this organization is, even on a piece of paper, they've always been looked at as a decent team going into the season. And they have not really been a good team really since 4 years ago.
And it really shows when they keep doing that, a lot of the same things. And because they've had trouble developing position players, they have to do it from their own, they have to do it from free agency. They can't just do it from their own farm system. But again, you would think they would try to at least evolve with different other approaches. If you're going to have trouble getting free agents because you're cheap, be something like the Rays or be something like other teams that have found good gems, good player development organizations, make good trades. And they haven't done that either. So they've always been a kind of a tweener team, just stuck in between. They look good at times, but again, it's not a consistent model for success. And they need an owner that will help bring in a GM and give enough money to have that kind of approach go forward.
It's very, very interesting. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking to James Madison softball head coach, Loren LaPorte?
LaPorte.
LaPorte. Okay, here on Down to the Wire.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we are back. You know, this is Down to the Wire. We are free, single, Monday and 8 p.m. As you guys know, you can call us at 654-9990. We are now talking to our investor coach. How are you, Loren?
I'm
excited for you. A long day you on hold. Just when we are here, the internet and everything that's going on. How are
It's definitely, days have been very warm.
you doing with everything?
We're old, and I am 24 weeks pregnant. It has been really great to, spend a lot of time with him and do things that obviously I would not be doing, this time of the year and during the season. We've done a lot of things outdoors and camping and building forts. So, trying to make the best of it and, just trying to stay positive through all this.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I've learned this over the years, especially as a sports fan. I've been a huge fan of United States softball. I've watched the USA team over the years compete, and they've been one of the most dominant softball, college, sports in the Olympics. So tell us a little bit about James Madison and the growth of your softball team over there.
Yeah, we pride ourselves in being, hopefully being in the top 25 every year. The last 7 years, we've been to the postseason. Last year, of course, we finished 11th in the country and went to a super regional out at UCLA. Had to face Rachel Garcia, who was actually on the USA team. So that was a tough matchup, but our girls work hard, and we're kind of that, I guess you could say, underdog gritty team, where, if people see us on the schedule, we want them to know they can't take it easy. So it's just kind of something that we talk about and trying to outwork our opponents in every facet, in the weight room, in practice, in our community, just outwork everyone. And that's kind of what we have to do at JMU to stay, on a national stage.
We are talking to James Madison softball head coach, Loren LaPorte. Now, Loren, as far as recruiting, and we ask a lot of coaches this in basketball, baseball, hockey, football, we've asked them so many times. When you go into a house and you're trying to recruit a player and you're talking to their parents and they're good students, but you're trying to sell James Madison, how do you go upon doing that?
Yeah, the thing about JMU, it is the people. We're a tight knit, not just our softball team, but the whole athletic department and the university as a whole. All the teams are really supported, not only from the people of the university, but the community. And then that's a big thing. We're from a smaller area. Harrisonburg, not that big. So in our games, we're averaging, 1,000 to 1,500 people in our stadium, which is amazing, from, being a smaller town. So I would just say, the feel of it, just that family feel. Parents, they want to feel good when their kids are getting dropped off and feel that they know that, they have someone there. And there's a lot of people at JMU that they can rely on. And, our support staff is great. Our administrators are great. And, athletics is a big thing for our community.
Now, when I never played softball, and I did umpire softball, women's softball, guys softball, and it could get a little abrupt. And I've learned that over the years. The fans, even the players, and even when you're doing high school and you're umpiring high school kids, and they're at sixth graders and seventh graders, and the parents get. I'm very surprised how parents get in the audience and the way they yell at the umpires when they make the wrong call. What do you do when a parent is yelling at you when you're making the wrong call or taking out a pitcher because you think they're tired? What do you do? How do you react to that situation?
Honestly, like I'm so laser focused on what's happening in the game. I don't even hear anybody in the stands, to be completely honest. There's been some times where we've been some places, and even at our place, where, I sent a runner home and she got out at the plate, or, I'm out on the mound talking to a pitcher and people are yelling. I don't even hear it. And I think that, that's just how you have to be as a coach, have thick skin. You can't take things personal. And umpires are the same way. I have found, especially with umpires, that, if you respect them, everybody's going to make mistakes. I mean, that's just life. And, I just don't really hear it that much. And we really don't have, parents that really do that either, which I'm fortunate. Our fans don't really yell a whole lot from the stands. I really don't talk to them much after the games as far as, if they're mad. So I kind of tune it out.
So your recruiting class this coming season, tell us a little bit about your recruiting class and the growth of your team the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with our team too, we've had a lot of local kids and regional kids that aren't too far away from different states that are big time players for us. We believe that, if we have people that are close by, when they get to play in front of their parents and their families on a regular basis, I can tell you they play a little bit harder. And it's kind of nice to have, I think we have 3 or 4, that are from the local areas. And it brings the community and, all of their hometown kind of comes and watches our game. But this year, our 2020 class includes 2 pitchers, a catcher, and then 3 position players, infielders and outfielders. They really can play anywhere. So we got a good mix in our 2020 class. And, of course, we have 3 seniors returning. Odyssey, Alexander, Kate Gordon, Madison Naokas are coming back to use their extra year of eligibility. So I'm very excited about what the year looks like.
We are talking to James Madison softball head coach Loren LaPorte. Now, Loren, I've watched college softball and I watched the World Series, and that's the only time I get the chance to watch it because you never get to watch it over here in New York on TV. I actually have gone to different schools when we do. We interview some of these high school kids and some of the big time prospects out here on Long Island. We go out there and we interview them. What do you look for in a pitcher? Because I don't know if you could put a curveball on a fast pitch with a softball. What do you look for? Do you look for speed? Do you look for breaking ball pitches? What do you look for a pitcher?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I think, you got to have velocity, and I think, as a coach, you have to know that there's more in them, because when they get to us, it's very different from when they're in high school and travel ball, because we have them on a weight program. They're doing softball 24/7, or that's not really what they do, coming during high school. So we're looking for velocity, and can they increase their velocity? Do they have the body type to get 3 or 4 miles an hour more on their fastballs and things like that? And of course, their movement pitches have to move. You can't have everything doing the same thing and staying at the same height. And a big thing that we're looking for that is a little bit different than in the past is changes in speed. Having 3 different speeds to keep hitters off balance. We've been fortunate, and Megan and Cece, they throw almost 70 miles an hour. But if you don't have that kind of velocity, you got to be able to keep hitters off balance and throw at different speeds. So, you have your fastball at your top speed, then, your movement pitch is more, 3 or 4 miles an hour slower, and then you have your changeup, which is about 10 miles an hour slower. So I think that's very important, especially in this day and age. The hitters, there's so much technology, and hitters have just gotten better across the board. Back in the day, I would even say 10 years ago, it was a pitcher's game. You would see a lot of 1-0, 2-1, 3-2 ball games, and now there are a lot of runs being scored. So pitchers have had to make adjustments, and so I think those 3 things is kind of what we look for. Can they change speed? Is their movement pitches moving with the correct spin, and then what's their velocity like?
So my question for you is leadership. And as you know, in professional sports, it's all about leadership, not only from the coaching stand, but really the players, the player stand. Is there a particular player that you look for in leadership for your players in the past year?
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is, our senior class and even our junior class, we've relied on those two classes a ton as far as, showing the underclassmen the ropes and how we do things. And I think it's good to have a mixture of different types of leadership. Like we have probably two girls that where we need them to tell the team something. They're going to tell it. They're kind of the voice. And then we have others that kind of lead by example. They're your kind of under the radar hard workers that's always picking up stuff after practice and doing the little things. And, I think our junior and senior class did a nice job at that. We're still trying to develop them and open them up a little bit because, the quiet ones still have to every now and then, say something and give their opinion just so they, the underclassmen know, hey, they're going to speak up when they need to speak up. But, there's different types of leadership, and we have certain things that we go to each leader or, upperclassmen about when we need something to be done.
Loren, in terms of softball, in terms of the strategy of it, there's a lot of rule differences between that and baseball with the substitutions, managerial strategy. They have designated offensive players, designated defensive players. Talk about what you use most with that kind of strategy and how you think it's maybe better or worse than baseball.
Yeah, we have the DP flex rule. The thing with us, we love pitchers that hit. We've had 3 All-Americans in our program, and 3 of them were pitchers that actually hit, and they were over 350, hitters. So we do have pitchers that don't hit too. So when your pitchers don't hit, of course they'll be in that flex, in the 10 spot where they don't hit. But what's nice about it is if you do have a pitcher that hits, you can take someone off the bench, your best DH or pitch hitter, and you can put them in the lineup, and then put your best defensive player in the flex spot that doesn't maybe hit all that well, but is so good on defense. You got to have her on the field. So it's nice to be able to strategize a little bit, and also if that defensive player is in the flex spot, they can also run one time for the DP. So there's a lot of different ways you can handle it, but it really depends on if your pitchers can hit or not, and how you use that substitution rule, which is much different than baseball. I absolutely love it. And, it gives someone off the bench who maybe isn't your best defensive player a chance to, do a lot in your lineup.
We are talking to James Madison softball head coach, Loren LaPorte. Loren, baseball is completely different than softball, but I know there is always game planning when it comes to if you're down by 2 runs and you're going into a particular inning, the 6th inning, and you have to score runs, and some of their pitchers are completely dominant in so many ways. And when I've seen a softball pitcher throw 95 miles per hour, I've seen it, and it's absolutely incredible the way how hard these girls throw. Do you have a game plan before that particular game if you know you're going to be facing a pitcher in that particular moment, a relief pitcher that has been a dominant pitcher all season long? Do you have a game plan against that particular pitcher?
We spend a lot of time, my associate head coach, Jen Herzig, scouting. I'd probably say we spend, 3 to 4 hours on each team when it comes to scouting. So our girls the night before games get a huge scouting report on every single player in the lineup, every single pitcher, the catcher's arms, things like that. I wouldn't necessarily say we change our swing and we change our approach depending on the pitcher. We just have, the preparation of knowing what each pitcher is going to throw at us. So it's not like we're going to be like, okay, she's throwing harder, so we're just going to, hit the contact. It's not like that. We don't change kind of what we do. We just have a better idea of how we're going to be attacked. And I can tell you it's made a big difference, in the games, and just knowing the pitchers, because there's a lot of times when we play teams that aren't in our conference where, you might not know much about, but I can tell you our associate head coach spends a lot of time. So our players are ready. So whoever pitcher, if they're throwing someone into the 6th inning, we have a whole description of what she's going to do. So that's kind of how I wouldn't say we change what we do depending on the pitcher. We just know how we're going to be attacked. So.
Do you think in terms of the motion of softball pitching, in terms of we see a lot of arm injuries in baseball, Tommy John surgery, UCL tears a lot of the time. Do you think the motion of softball pitching with the double rotation, sometimes triple for some pitchers of your arm, the way it spins, do you think that is different in terms of helping lessen arm injuries? Do you think there's more as a result of that kind of motion, or do you think it's kind of the same?
Oh, it's definitely less. I mean, our pitchers can throw, honestly, 3 games in one day. Like, we would never do that. But in travel ball, there are some pitchers that are throwing 3 games in a day. It's a natural motion. You don't get as sore as throwing overhand. With baseball pitchers, they throw, one pitcher will throw on a Friday, and then they can't throw again until the next weekend, where our pitchers could throw back-to-back days. They can throw multiple games in a day. We kind of have them on a pitch count. We kind of know when we're doing bullpens and things like that. We know when they get through a certain pitch count, we know when velocity starts slowing down and things kind of stop working. So we kind of base off that. In the dugout, we have somebody with a clicker, and every inning, we're asking what's their pitch count. But as far as being able to pitch and going, they can keep going until they're they usually tell us, hey, like, arm, I just don't have, it with it my fingers, because we're big on spin too, and that's how you move the ball. So, their fingers get sore, and the wrist gets sore and things like that. But it is a natural motion, very different than, baseball pitchers. So we only have usually 5, maybe 6 pitchers on staff.
Wow.
Where baseball has, 15 to 20. So, we only, usually in softball, if you watch the World Series, you only usually see 2 pitchers pitching, and those are your 2 horses, I will say back in the day, there was usually only 1 that threw every single game in the College World Series. Now, because the hitting has gotten so much, better and more powerful, you got to have a staff more than 1. So, but when they get down to the wire, I mean, Garcia, threw almost every game in the series. So.
You said Down to the Wire, which that's the name of our show. So there you go.
It is. Look at that. I didn't even mean to do that.
We are talking to James Madison softball head coach, Loren LaPorte. And Loren, I want to give all the fans out there, we have had technical difficulties with our video feed, and a lot of people wanted to see this interview, but don't worry. After the show, we're going to cut out the audio, and we're going to put it all over social media so everybody can see and listen to this interview. If you can't see it, I'm sorry. I would apologize. But
totally fine. I know how technology is.
Oh my God, it's really because
it's not my friend either.
Well, you want to know something? It's all about right now. It's not just us. It's the technology throughout the country right now with what's going on. But we do have the audio, and we're going to make sure everybody hears this interview. So, Loren, I look at baseball, and I have been really upset at what's going on in the MLB. And I know you're a big baseball fan. You're a softball fan, so I'm sure you're a baseball fan. What were your thoughts when you heard about the Houston Astros, the cheating being brought into the game and really hurting not only the sport, but really hurting the Houston Astros championship that they won in 2017, which right now is an asterisk on their winning and their championship. Do you think they got it right? Do you think the MLB got it right not suspending the players?
I think that kind of thing is tough, not really knowing, and some players are saying it happened, some didn't. I don't really know all of the ins and outs of the situation with the Astros. I think what's hard just as a coach, especially trying to teach these young players and doing the right thing, and winning the right way, and I think that's what hurts me most as a coach is just having to do things that aren't right, and winning. It can't feel right to the players if it did happen. But if I don't know if they had all the evidence, or whatnot. So I don't really have, I guess a big time decision on or opinion on if it was right or wrong. I just hate the fact as a coach where if it was done the wrong way, it's just sad for our game, and it's sad with teaching the younger generation. And I remember watching that series. I mean, they were so much fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie, like they were just a fun team to watch. Their energy. But it is a shame that if it is everything is true, that's what we're teaching these younger generations, that they have to go, and do those kind of things in order to win championships. I don't think it's teaching, our younger ones the right way.
Your team last season especially was a victim of playing in a regional that was actually in Los Angeles, which you had to play against UCLA. That's kind of a home field advantage for them kind of thing. Obviously, there's not going to be all of them in Los Angeles, but majority of them being UCLA fans. Now, a lot of other college sports don't have that structure. You might get one March Madness game here and there kind of thing. Hockey, the same way, football. They don't have that kind of thing. Do you think, are you in favor with that kind of thing, being the regionals right towards those top seeds or power teams like that, or do you think they should change it?
Well, it's funny you say that, because our regional was actually in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Our super regional was in UCLA. We felt that, I think we were, I want to say 13th or 14th. So we thought we were actually going to host the regional. Our girls thought, we hosted the year before or 2 years before. We actually hosted the super too. I think the top 15 teams deserve to host, but it all comes down to what the committee decides who the top 15 teams are. That's the issue. And a lot of times, obviously, mid-majors don't get a top 15 seed because our conference schedule, our RPI is a little bit lower. We were disappointed that we didn't get to host a regional. We knew we weren't high enough because basically the top 15 host the regional and the top 8 host the super regional. So we were sent off earlier than what we thought. We went to Michigan and we lost to them in the first round in 12 innings, 2-1. And then we had to turn around and play DePaul the next day. And then we had to beat them twice, Michigan twice, to advance. And, we ended up doing that. And I can tell you, Ann Arbor is not an easy place to play. I think they have their own alumni band that comes and plays in the stands. And we have never played in the stands where there's a band. But we got the job done, and then we went to, UCLA was ranked number 1. So the 15th seed, obviously that regional plays the 15th. So I honestly don't have a problem with the structure of it. I just think, the process of choosing who the top 15 can get a little dicey, but, I wasn't mad. Honestly, going up to Michigan, it kind of fueled our players a little bit, and it made them hungry, and it made them wanting to prove that they were a top 15 team.
Before we let you go, the next person we're going to be interviewing is a guy you probably know from James Madison, the baseball assistant, head coach, and recruiting coordinator. You know who I'm talking about, Mr. Alex. Tell us a little bit about.
I know him well.
Tell us a little bit about him before we interview him. And so if you have any funny things that you want to attack him on, we can use it on that interview.
Well, what's funny is I coach when I first got started, I coached at where Alex played at LaPorte University. So I was 22, 23 years old, and he was a couple years younger than me. So I think he was a sophomore or junior when I first started out. He was playing at the university I started at. So I've known Alex a very long time. And then he coached, I think he stayed at Radford for maybe 1 year after he graduated to coach, and then he went off and did his coaching, staying at some other places. And then when he got the JMU job, it was just kind of crazy because we knew each other back at when I first started. So I can tell you, he's very energetic. He's a player's coach. All his players, really like playing for him. There are many times, we share the same indoor facility. So there are many times when, we're on one side, they're on the other, and he's screaming and yelling in a good way, not bad. He's a jokester. So I'm just like, I can't tell if he's serious or not. Most of the time he's not. But he gets the kids going, gets the guys going, and he's fun to be around, that's for sure.
When the season begins, we'd love to get you back on. And if we ever do decide to go to Virginia, we would love to come down there and interview your players, interview you and your coaching staff. If you would invite us, we would absolutely love to come. We were just in Virginia, I would say about 8 months ago. We were working on the Long Island, what are they? Long Island
Elite Youth Football
over there in Richmond. And we were interviewing the kids and doing play-by-play, and we would love to come down there and meet and see your facility and meet some of your players.
That would be awesome. And, we come up to Hofstra every now and then. They're our big rivals, I can tell you that.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're in our conference, so we always have some battles with them. That's for sure. So yeah, anytime you want to come down, love to have you.
Well, whenever you play Hofstra, we'll stay in touch. And whenever you play Hofstra, we would love to come down there at Hofstra, because I know I know over there. I actually I didn't go. Well, I went there for 2 weeks. I decided that it wasn't for me, but Hofstra's a beautiful school. They have a beautiful facility over there, so we would love to come in.
And they've done a lot with their program.
Absolutely.
I mean, they've always had a great program. So. Yep.
We would love to come and meet you guys and interview you guys. You look like a very, first of all, you what we've seen so far and what we've read about you, you're an up-and-coming coach, and what you do moving forward, I'm rooting for you and I'm rooting for your team.
Well, thank you so much. This was definitely a fun interview, for sure.
Absolutely. Tell the fans how they can find you on social media.
Yeah, we have our own James softball page on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're always, posting things that our kids are doing in our community. We're really big into community service. That's probably one of, I think we've won our JMU University Award the last 3 years. So it's something that we take a lot of pride in. So you'll always see our players doing things, especially right now. We have some players that are out and about, helping the communities out during this pandemic. But we put highlights up, we put alumni stuff up. So, yeah, check us out on that for sure.
Well, before we let you go, because obviously we are calling you on a phone number that we can't get in touch with you. We want to send you the interview throughout your social media so you can see it. How do we find you, and how do we give you your, what is your email so we can reach out to you and send you the interview?
Yeah, it's Messick, MESSICLR, @jmu.edu.
Did you get it, Speedy?
MESSICLR @jmu.edu. And they're all lowercase letters? All lowercase letters?
I got to JMU, all lowercase. I wasn't married, so it was Messick is my maiden name. And then I got married in 2013, so I just kept the same email. So it's all very confusing. They're like, what is Messick mean? But that's my maiden name.
Do you have a Twitter? Can we send it through your Twitter?
Yeah.
All right. How do we find you on Twitter?
It's Loren Messick as well.
There you go, Loren Messick. Thank you.
Let me get on there real quick. Me and my personal Twitter,
yes,
there's not much on there. I do, usually do everything with JMU softball. I usually don't do a lot with my personal.
Okay. We'll post it on your softball. We'll post it on your softball Twitter.
No, we will, for sure. We will.
Okay.
I'll Mackenzie to do that, my SID.
Well, we'll post it on your softball. We'll find the Twitter on what is it?
JMU softball. I tagged it already.
Oh, there you go. So we'll send you the interview, and we're looking forward to meeting you. And good luck on the new season.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Loren.
All right. Thank you.
Loren LaPorte. Up next, we have who, Speedy?
We have the James Madison baseball assistant coach and recruiting coordinator, Alex Guerra.
Here on Down to the Wire. Up next.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we are back. As you know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live Monday and Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. Speedy, what is this track?
You asked me to find modern music.
Modern music? I've never heard of it before in my life.
Well, it was on the Billboard charts.
Well, Billboard charts or no Billboard charts. I'm a DJ and I've never heard it before in my life.
All right.
Thank you, Speedy. Anyways, we have our second guest of the show. We are now talking to James Madison baseball assistant head coach and recruiting coordinator, Alex Guerra. What's going on, Alex?
Guys, how are you?
We are good. How are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
We're doing well. I'm down here, obviously, in Virginia, and, I'm fortunate to be in a smaller town, not as populated as New York, so there's not as much, interaction with people, especially when everybody's on lockdown here. But I know my family that's up on Long Island has had to deal with many more precautions, and I think it's probably affected, just like all you guys up there, everyone's lifestyle in New York a lot different than myself. So, I'm personally very fortunate. I'm healthy, I'm safe, and we haven't had many cases down here. And at the end of the day, it's just about trying to be as respectful as you can of what's going on, and washing your hands and keeping your distance for people, and just respecting the simple guidelines and rules that our government at the state and national level have asked us to abide by. And that's all. It's all on my part as a citizen. And I'm not. There's no sense in complaining and whining about it. It is what it is. It's life, and I think if everybody can try to have that mindset and that attitude, I think normalcy will come a lot quicker. So.
You spoke about Long Island. What family do you have living here on Long Island, and where in Long Island?
I grew up in Wantagh. I went to Wantagh High School.
Really?
Yeah. My family and my mom, my dad, my sister. They should be listening to the radio right now. Hopefully, my dad got the computer working properly. But we still live on the same street that I grew up in. My dad grew up in the house they live in right now. My dad, my mom, my sister, they moved down there a few years back. But my dad is lived on that same road for 50 years, 60 years almost. So, I'm in my heart, I'm a Long Island boy, and so when I got the opportunity to come on here, man, I was excited.
Well, I will tell all your family out there, if they're not hearing it or they're not seeing the video feed, don't you worry. We are going to cut out the audio, and you guys are going to hear this interview. Like I said, if they don't hear us, they can download the app. All they have to do, if they have iOS or they have Android, all you have to do on iOS is go to WWSRN, or Android, you can go to Worldwide Sports Radio Network, download the app, and just hit the play button on the bottom for the audio, and you can hear the interview. But don't worry, Alex, your family's going to hear this interview, so don't you worry, my friend. We will make sure that everybody hears this interview.
Good. I just shot him a text, so hopefully he's on top of his skills. There we go. He just texted me. Okay, trying to get on. Go figure it out.
There we go. We are talking to James Madison baseball assistant head coach and recruiting coordinator, Alex Guerra.
Alex, in terms of the start of this season and even going into the last season, one of the pitchers that was most impressive was Justin Showalter, a .67 ERA that he had in the 4 starts this season and a 3.72 last year. Good amount of strikeouts. What impresses you most about his pitching style and his performance that you've seen?
Well, Justin he's a right-handed pitcher. He can run the ball from high 80s to low 90s. He's got tremendous arm side run and sink. He throws a very heavy ball. It's almost like, in baseball terminology, it's like he's throwing bowling balls up there. Like you can never really square him up. He's got late, hard action. It makes it very, very difficult for right-handed hitters when he's running that two-seamer down and in underneath your hands. And then he's got a plus slider that's going to slide away from righties into the back foot of a lefty. So you're basically got a tunnel of 2 pitches. One's going one way at about 90 to 92, and the other one's going the other way, from low to sometimes mid-80s. And he's got tremendous stuff. But I think the biggest thing with Justin, and he always had stuff to go when he got on the mound. But the biggest thing with him, and you see this with most kids, is when he became an upperclassman, this year, his maturity, his presence on the mound was something that was really stood out for our entire team. He pounds his own. He's confident. He's very quiet. But when he's on the mound, man, he's got a completely different aura about him. And that goes to a lot of the credit goes to Jimmy, our pitching coach, who does a tremendous job with our pitchers and just preparing them. But Justin is hopefully we get him back for our sake, me being a selfish coach a little bit, but for his sake, he has the opportunity to get drafted, in these next couple of days and play professional baseball. We're going to be so excited for him. He's a local kid. Went to Turner Ashby High School right up the road. So he's living the small town dream right now. He's the man at the local university. And actually, his grandfather was the head coach here for 4 years, as assistant here.
Interesting.
Back in the 80s as well. So there's a lot of history and family ties. His parents both went to JMU. So Justin's the big man around town around here. But he really took a huge step forward, and he did what upperclassmen are supposed to do. When you're an upperclassman, your job is to produce, and step up, and lead the way for younger guys. He definitely did that for sure.
Now, Alex, it says you're the recruiting coordinator, and I ask this to a lot of coaches because when you go into a home and you're trying to recruit a player and you're trying to sell your school and sell your program, how do you go upon doing that?
Well, it's a little bit different. First off, it's a little bit different than football. Recruiting happens so much earlier in football, and a lot of times, we don't do like the official visits and wine and dine, and then they sit in front of the TV and they pick the hat. Like that culture of recruiting is not really. It's more basketball and football. So a lot of times it's you're having dialogue with these kids when they're freshman and sophomore year of their high school. But as a recruiting coordinator for me, first of all, our entire staff recruits. I joke about it all the time. My title of recruiting coordinator is, I'm designated to do all the paperwork that nobody else wants to do.
Of course.
Jimmy, if there's an issue that Jimmy really, really likes, I pass off the name to him. He starts communicating with them, and vice versa with the hitter. And then the both of us kind of filter those names and the guys that we want to offer and get on campus to Coach Ike, our head coach, and in addition to Coach Bowman as well, who's constantly working camps. I wish he was able to recruit, but unfortunately with the NCAA, they only allow 3 coaches on the road. But he's a vital part of our recruiting as well. And but as far as selling JMU sells itself. It's one of the best campuses in the Mid-Atlantic, number one. The campus is beautiful. It's a perfect size, about 20,000 students. It's very easy to get around campus. It's very modern, but it's also got that old feel to it. It's like the quad. JMU originally back in the early 1900s was not a women's school. It was mainly for women who wanted to become teachers. So that quad, the main bluestone on campus, is all original. And then over the years, they've grown, and you can kind of see within the buildings the growth that they've had on campus. As far as getting education, any major you could possibly think of, we have all of our athletic programs win. Our facilities are top notch. Our baseball field, we just had a complete brand new turf done to our field. We've had our indoor remodeled with cages. We can do that. We will never miss a beat. We've got our own locker room, our own weight room, our own training room, equipment room. And we have our support staff are specific to baseball. So you've got full-time athletic trainer, full-time equipment manager, full-time strength coach, full-time academic advisor. And that doesn't happen at the mid-major level. So we're very fortunate to have an administration that supports us. Our athletic director, Mr. Bourne, and our associate athletic director, Mr. White. They do a tremendous job in allowing us to give us as many resources as possible. And in addition to that, our alumni base and the players that have played here, they support us tremendously. So you really have a big time family feel here as far as the support goes, and that's a big part of what we sell to our recruits as well. You come here, you're going to be part of a family. You're not just going to be part of a team. And we're going to make sure that you are getting a quality education, that you're maximizing your potential on the field. And you leave here a better person for sure. And it's something that we take a lot of pride in, and we tried to do over the last, going on our 6th year together as a staff.
We are talking to James Madison baseball assistant head coach and recruiting coordinator, Alex Guerra.
In terms of the recruiting strategy with dealing with the MLB draft in particular, especially this year with its 5 rounds, but even just in general when it's even more than that, I think 37 to be exact. What is your strategy when it comes to that, especially being not a Power 5 team where, again, you want to try to let these kids play out 3 or 4 years? Does that affect the method of the way you recruit?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, it doesn't. And people ask all the time. Well, for example, like with the COVID stuff that's going on, how's it going to affect recruiting? How's it going to affect roster? And at the end of the day, if there's a player that can help you get better and win, then we're going to try and get them. There's no reason for us to not try and have somebody that's going to help our team. Now, if you have limited spots, then you're going to be very picky on that player and that person and the family, everything that goes involved into it. But the draft at the mid-major level sometimes is very hard to predict. We've had over the last couple of years, we've had, especially from a position player standpoint, we've had some guys that we thought were going to get picked.
We lost you. We lost you there, Alex. You there, Alex?
Can you hear me?
There you are.
Yeah.
There you are. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I don't know what the heck happened.
It looked like you were swimming. It sounded like you were swimming underwater.
Sorry. These damn AirPods sometimes they kind of get me off.
Oh, that's all right.
But
we're used to it.
Where did I leave off?
You were saying something about position players.
Oh, okay. The last couple of years, we've had some position players that we thought were going to get picked, and it just didn't work out. So it's not a lot of times at the mid-major level, you're not going to get. He's definitely going to get drafted. He's definitely not coming back. And a lot of times at the Power 5 levels, going into the year, like, this kid's going to be a first rounder. This kid ain't coming back. This kid's going in this round. You have a better idea, and you just have a better feel for it. At the end of the day, our job as assistant coaches is to bring the best players possible for the head coach to make the final decision. And for me as the quote unquote recruiting coordinator, that's my job. My job is for my boss to look at me and go, "Hey man, like enough, like we're done." And if he tells me that, like then I know I'm doing my part in trying to make our program as best as we can. But if you think that like a kid that's up the road or in our state that's throwing the ball 90 miles an hour and he wants to damn you and he's really good and we're gonna look at him and go, "Oh, sorry man, we don't have a spot for you," like that's how you lose your job. So I'd rather for us to add as many good players as we can and kind of figure some things out after the fact. In addition, I'm also proud to say that we've never been part of a situation where we've over-recruited and we've had to go to a kid prior to him signing his national letter of intent and saying, "Sorry, but we don't have room for you. We don't have a spot for you. We over-recruited," or, "Oh, you're not good enough." Like, our commitment to the family and to the kid is very, very solid. It's ironclad. We expect that in return. And I'm fortunate in the 9 years I've been a part of college baseball as a coach, I've never been a part of a situation where we've had to call a kid in the family and say, "Sorry, but we're not honoring your commitment," or vice versa. Do they always work out ability-wise? No. I mean, I'm not that good. And any scout coach that says that, they're lying. Trust me, because everybody makes mistakes from an evaluation standpoint. But I can tell you that when we commit a kid, that commitment is strong for sure.
Alex, there are a lot of good teams in the nation. We saw Michigan win. Stony Brook went to the World Series a couple of years ago. There's so many good teams around the country. Why should, and I ask you this, and I've asked a lot of coaches this, what makes James Madison different from all the big-time schools? What draws people to go to James Madison? Obviously, the facility and everything like that. But if I was a player right now, and I was standing right there, and I say, "Listen, Alex, I've looked at Michigan. I've looked at Stony Brook. I've looked at Hofstra, whatever, all the top college baseball organizations. Why should I go to James Madison? If you were to sell me right now, what would it be?
Well, I think number one, it's a twofold question there because you're talking about it's tough for us to compare to a school like a Michigan, a school like a Power 5 school, because at the end of the day, like, let's not lie and BS each other. Those Power 5 schools have things that we just flat out cannot offer. Number one, you play in a Power 5 conference. Number two, you might have some more fluff, some more resources that we may not have. What I will say about JMU is, in my opinion, I've had the opportunity to work at two other schools. I worked at University of Central Florida and I worked at Radford, and both were programs where we worked at a very high level. I can tell you that JMU is the total package as far as everything that you're getting: campus size, the quality education, the campus atmosphere, social life, and the athletic culture that all of our programs have of winning and doing things the right way. And then specifically within our baseball program, I mean, we have everything that you could possibly ask for within our means. I mean, we have technology on the development side, on our field, in our cages, on our computer to make put our players in the best possible position to be successful. When it comes to traveling on the road, everybody eats like better than you would in the minor leagues. You're staying in nicer hotels than you would in the minor leagues. And the support that we have, our support staff is tremendous. Like I said earlier, like to have at the mid-major level 4 people that work with your baseball program only and do not share with anybody else, that's a huge resource. If our guys need to get treatment around their class schedule at 10 o'clock in the morning,
right,
John, our trainer, is in there ready to go for them. If they need to schedule a lift at a different time because of their schedule, our strength coach, Robbie, is there for them. If they need a piece of equipment, Pete's there for them all day long. And it's, I think those are the things that really matter. The people that are coaching you, the people that are supporting you, and the tools that you have to make you the best player and student. And we have all those things.
Alex, you sold me. So where's my scholarship? No. You sold me. I'm an outfielder. I'm 38 years old. I've got an athletic ability. I've got a lot of power. You want to draft me over there? You want to bring me over there?
You got it. The only thing is that we don't have any more scholarships. Still in after that, because a lot of times once you get that conversation, everybody goes, "Oh, well, I don't. If you really like me, then you'd pay me," which I can't blame them sometimes.
We are talking to James Madison baseball assistant head coach and recruiting coordinator, Alex Guerra.
In terms of the transfer portal that we've seen in a lot of other college sports, especially with basketball, both men's and women's, after the hiatus of their particular seasons, there's now a transfer portal rule that grants instant eligibility. You don't have to sit out a year like you normally did in the past. What are your thoughts to that? Do you think it would be a good change for baseball if they went forward with it? Because I think they have something next year where they can go forward with that in the 2021 season. Are you in favor of that, or would you want it to stick to where you have to sit out a year?
Oh, man. It's a loaded question right there. You're asking the tough one tonight.
Well, you know what it is.
Sure.
His nickname is Speedy Petey, so that's why he makes sure he gets a lot of words out in his question.
On top of it.
Yeah, he is.
It's a great question. It's a great question. I think it should go based on the individual. I think and somewhat already this way, if you're on scholarship or if you're not on scholarship and you are asked to leave the program because you are not good enough, which happens the majority of the time, you should have instant eligibility. You should not be punished because the coaching staff made a mistake and brought you in when you were not good enough to be at that place. If you are an All-American at JMU and you want to go get free agent and go to LSU or West Virginia because those schools happen to not do their job and recruit you, then I'm completely against it. Because I don't want to have to recruit our players every year and have it like basketball where they're sitting in a room and you're doing a PowerPoint to recruit your players so that they don't leave. I have no interest in doing that. However, if the kid is being punished, a coaching change. I don't want to say punished, but if the kid is put in a situation, if it's not in the best interest of the student athlete for them to pursue other things because the coach is no longer giving them that opportunity, they should be able to play right away. But I don't think it should become free agency where you have a really good year and then all of a sudden you're exploring your options. It's not fair. I just don't think it would be fair to us as a coaching staff that, in my opinion, does things the right way and recruits to what we need, not over recruit. And now you're sitting here and we're going to be running around in summer ball leagues trying to steal other people's players. Like, that's not what college athletics is all about, in my opinion. And I'll be honest, if somebody would try to do that, and I'm going to be very upset. If somebody would try to steal our best player after his freshman year, you're going to get in some uncomfortable situations on the road. People are going to be saying things, and who knows what could happen. You got to think about it like this too. Think if you're at a Power 5 school, a lower Power 5 school, and you got a bunch of kids on that team that are doing really well.
Oh, we lost Alex there, guys. We're gonna call him back up. It was an accident.
You there?
That was our fault, Alex. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
All right. You got a bunch of guys at a lower level, mid or Power 5 school that are having really good years, and now they want to go and be a part of a blue blood, top tier, going to the College World Series every year program. Like, those guys at the Power 5 school, they get fired because now they don't have good enough players. So it's a tricky and touchy subject, because then the follow up is, well, a coach can then go from a mid major to a Power 5 school. I agree with that. I understand that part of it. That's why a kid should get a fresh start if that coaching change happens. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to coaching, it's also a profession. It's also an occupation. And if a coach has an opportunity to better his family because he's going to be making more money and he's in a better situation than what he is, then that's between the coach and his family. And it's a really tricky thing, because if you open this up, it's going to become, you look at it like football, basketball. It's like free agency. And it's just, I don't know, I think it's, fortunately in baseball, we don't have that culture of it just yet, but man, I that would be my stance on it, for right now, unless this goes in and it can somehow work. But that's my opinion on the situation.
We are talking to James Madison baseball head coach and recruiting coordinator, Alex Guerra. Alex, I want to get into some MLB conversation. I know you are a baseball player / coach / everything. And as you look at the Houston Astros, and I've asked every single baseball coach we have spoken to in the last 3 weeks, and we've had Coach Week practically. We're talking about Power 5 schools. We've talked to so many baseball coaches. I want to know your input. When you look at the Houston Astros, you look at the MLB, you look at Rob Manfred, and I'll tell you, Rob Manfred has really cost himself a big argument, not only for fans, but for some of the owners. Do you think they were right not fining or suspending some of the players after this whole situation with the cheating that the Astros performed in 2017, 2018, and 2019?
I think if they suspended the players, they would have suspended the entire Astros organization. So it's, in my opinion, I think that the only way for them to get the truth about what actually happened was for them to give the players immunity, because the union was not going to allow any player to go in there on their heels. And like, in my opinion, the players union protected the players, and they did a great job with it. And I think Rob Manfred had to make a decision, and he had to decide, are we going to get half the truth, and then I'm going to have to go in there, and then I'm going to have to suspend players and coaches and GMs and what I think might happen, or what I thought happened, or do I want to get the truth, make a harsh statement to the people that were in charge and leading and saying, this is what you can or cannot do. And it's almost like the players were for the kids and the children, and the manager and the GM are the parents. Well, if the parents let the children run amok and do whatever, like, is it really their fault? Like, not for anything. If I'm Jose Altuve and I'm facing Aroldis Chapman in the bottom of the ninth inning with the opportunity to go to the World Series, and somebody's going to buzz me in and tell me when he's going to throw a slider, and I'm not going to get caught, or I haven't been caught just yet, and everything's cool, like, a tough time saying no in that situation.
So
I mean, but that's just me being brutally honest.
I got you.
I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent.
Right.
But they made a decision, and the people that were in charge of allowing it to happen were the people that, in my opinion, should have been punished. The players, they're going to have to live with the fact that they cheated the game, and they're going to have to live with that stain on them for the rest of their career. Oh, I was a World Series champion, but. Oh, I won the MVP, but. And they're going to have to live with that pressure, and every time anybody speaks of Jose Altuve, Alex Guerra, Carlos Correa, they're always going to follow that up with, oh, yeah, he was the cheater. He was part of the Astros cheating scandal. So I think that might be a little bit more difficult for them to deal with than them just being suspended and them doing their time and coming back and everybody, kind of feeling sorry. They're going to have to wear it for the rest of their career that they cheated. But I also think, in fairness, this has been going on in baseball forever.
Of course.
They just got caught because in my opinion, the way they did it, they're just
stupid.
Too much. They're idiots.
You could say banging on garbage pails in the dugout. They're stupid.
It was just too obvious. It got to the point where it was just too obvious. And eventually somebody was going to speak up about it, and that's what happened. But even if you look into the Astros had like a video tribute at the end of the year, and you could see, the guys running through the tunnel and they're videoing, and they're all fired up after they won. I don't remember what playoff game it was, and you see the TV there, and you see the garbage can, you see the table, you see somebody sitting there spitting seeds for 9 innings. Like, clean that up, maybe hide it up a little bit better. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying they deserve to get caught, and the people that got punished, I think that they deserved the punishment that they got. So,
last question for me. If you were a manager in that situation where you felt like another team was doing something like that, trying to steal signs electronically, or like we've been saying with the trash cans, signals like that, how would you try to adjust to that on your team in terms of the way to give signs, or even not even giving signs at all?
Well, I think you'd have to create some type of system where it's changing on every single pitch. You have to do multiple signs with nobody on base. You probably have to go to 3 or 4 signs with nobody on base. Touch signs, night signs, dummy signs. You're going to have to create some type of system with guys on base. Chasing 2s, chasing 3s, chasing horns, first, last, third sign, second sign after strike, strikes +1.
Seems like a lot of work.
Whatever it may be. I'm throwing all kinds of different stuff on there, but that's where you'd have to have some type of system, and it's got to change almost every inning to the point where nobody could figure it out. And then if it's a long batter, like let's say it's 10, 12 pitches, like after the sixth pitch, you go to a different system. That'd just be like a normal routine thing. So like let's say there's nobody on base and you're doing 3 signs and it's chasing 2s. It's the first sign after I give it 2. Right, so I go 1, 2, 3. So it'd be change up. And then I go 2, 1, fastball. Like after the 6th pitch, do it to the first sign or the last sign, or chasing 1s or chasing 3s, or go to body touches. It's a lot, but at the end of the day, if you know a team is doing something like that, that's the only way to prevent it. That's what I would say.
We are talking to James Madison baseball assistant head coach and recruiting coordinator, Alex Guerra. Last question for me, Alex. The MLB is trying to speed up the game. And they they're right now working on or possibly deciding on using electronic umpires behind the plate. And I've asked a lot of managers and a lot of coaches in professional baseball and college baseball, do you like this? Do you think that changing the game and taking away umpires behind the plate is going to help the game? If you were in the MLB, would you accept this as a manager?
No, I hate it. It's terrible. It would be horrible. First of all, I've seen it in the independent leagues, and some of the umpires that do our games are pro umpires, and I forget what league it was in they were doing it, but you got balls that are bouncing in front of home, like on top of home plate, that are being called strikes. And it takes away from the purity of the game. Part of baseball is the human element of an umpire behind the plate making a split-second decision. And part of baseball is an umpire and a manager arguing. That's part, like, think about if they had electronic umpires. Nobody would be able to watch Bobby Cox get thrown out of a game at Shea Stadium. Or nobody would be able to watch Earl Weaver or Billy Martin get thrown out of a baseball game. Like, that's entertainment. People come to watch that part of the game. And as a player as well, when your head coach or your manager is fighting for you and arguing, like, that fires you up. He's got your back. And you go to a computer system, it's like, first of all, it's not an equivalent to a strike zone. I think big league umpires today are unbelievable. I think they're absolutely outstanding. You look back at when Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux and those guys pitched, like, yeah, those guys suck. I mean, people want to know why Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux, they're very good. When you're getting 7 to 10 inches off the plate and you're 86, 88, like, no, that's not a strike. I'm sorry.
You have to be a Mets fan. I'm
I am
telling
a Mets fan.
I know it. I know
Very
it.
good. I'm a Mets fan. I am a Mets fan. But I think people want to criticize baseball in today's game, and like, how can we make it better? How can we speed it up, right? Because everybody is like, the attention span of today's society is non-existent. Like, every single night when I was growing up, my dad would come home from work, we would have dinner as a family, and if it was a spring, summer, like, we're watching a ball game. We're watching Netflix. We're watching Amazon Prime. We're not watching some rinky-dink TV show. Like, I'm watching a baseball game with my dad. And we're learning about the game, and you're listening, and the games go 3-4 hours. Mm-hmm. But you're watching a baseball game, and that's how I learned the game. And that's how I became better. Like, that's where today's player, like, they want the instant reward and the instant answer and the instant gratification, whether it be on Twitter for social media or just like going and watching one highlight, and they miss the little nuances of baseball. When you try and speed the game up, you're going to miss out on those little nuances of baseball. And the umpire a part of the game is behind the plate is huge. But these guys, see, people don't even understand, like, today's player is so advanced.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys throwing the ball in the low to upper 90s consistently. You got guys with power breaking stuff. You got guys coming out of the bullpen throwing 100 miles an hour. You got guys like Mike Trout that
is unbelievable.
I mean, they're unbelievable. These players are unbelievable what they're able to do, the numbers that they put up, the ability, the athleticism. Like, today's player is just ridiculous. Enjoy that. I think baseball is, from an ability standpoint and the way the game is, I think it's at its peak with the way the game is going on. Yeah, I mean, for some old school fans, like guys, staring at their home runs, guys not running as hard all the time. Am I against that? Yeah. I mean, it's not the way I play it. It's not the way I was taught how to play the game. But at the end of the day, the ability from an entertainment standpoint, it's at the highest level. And sometimes with umpires, man, like, they may miss a call like an inch off the plate. Well, my response to the people that are complaining they miss those calls, I mean, you get behind the plate and you call it and make a second decision of Garrett Cole on the mound. Right, he's throwing the ball 95 to 98, 4-pitch mix, both sides of the plate, 2-seamers, 4-seamers, sliders, changeups, breaking balls. You don't really know where it's coming. You might miss a spot. Boom, you call it a ball, and it's a quarter of an inch off the plate. Like, that's pretty good. Now, if you're calling him in the other batter's box, that's a different story. But these guys don't do that. I mean, it's even sometimes the guys, the players, when they complain, it's like, just shut up. Like, it's sometimes it's tough back here. But right. I am completely, to answer your question and shortly, I'm completely against the computerized umpire. I think that would destroy our game.
Well, I agree with you, and I think baseball needs to figure out a way where, I know they want to speed up the game. If you want to speed up the game, and I've said this over and over again, and I'm going to say it again to you, Alex, they need to start getting the batters in the box and stop letting them get out of the box, play with their gloves, smell their bat. I mean, how many times do we see that when it takes forever?
I hear what you're saying on that too, but at the same time, so much of baseball now is mental and routines and having a plan. And part of their mental routine for a player may be stepping out, adjusting his batting gloves, looking at his pine chart. It might be a 10 to 15 second type of thing. And to be honest, if I'm a professional baseball player and I'm getting paid millions of dollars and this is my livelihood and I'm trying to survive in the big leagues, like, I'm not going to listen to an umpire telling me to get in the box. When I'm trying to hit and perform in front of 60,000 people, like, I'm kind of going on the side of today's player, but I'm just not going to do that. And the way to speed it up would be you put a timer in between innings.
Right.
I think that's the first thing. There's no reason why you can't get on and off the field in 90 seconds. Now, commercials and advertising, is that going to affect it? I don't know. I'm not smart enough to figure that thing out. But I'm sure there's got to be some type of time frame for a commercial break. And I can't imagine them being more than a minute and a half to 2 minutes, but some type of break to where, we're on and off the field in 90 seconds, and that's what we do in college.
Right.
We have 90 seconds and then 20 seconds in between pitch with nobody on base. And our games have gotten sped up really. I mean, they're much better. They're much better. And I think there's this big rush to speed up the game at the major league level, and I don't see it. I mean, I think part of it is I think the big part of it is that people just don't have the attention span to sit down and do the same thing for 3 hours and not move. Like, what's going to happen when we cut the game down to 2 hours and 15 minutes? They're going to, it's still too it's still too slow. Like, well, then don't watch the game. That'd be my answer.
To me, and I'll say this before we let you go, I think it's more exciting to watch the rules and the game in college sports than it is professional sports. When I watch the NFL, I'd rather watch college football because I think the game is everybody says the NFL is faster, but when you watch college football, to me, because of the way they play, they throw the ball, they air the ball out. In the NFL, they're running and hitting and running and running and running and running. It's not like that in college football. They're spreading out the offense and they're throwing the ball down the field, which to me is more exciting. And all you have to do is get one foot in line for it to be a touchdown. In the NFL, you have to have 2 feet down. In baseball, there's different rules in college than there is in the MLB, like you were saying. I think that the MLB and the NFL and the NBA and the NHL need to look at college sports and see the game the way it is played and try to implement it into the professional game.
I agree with that 100%. I think if somebody came to a college baseball game and watched 2 really good programs play a quality weekend series, and you watch the tempo of the game on and off the field, I think that's a really good model to go off of. Again, you're going back to now players having to implement that. Like, is a guy that's played in the big leagues for 15 years, who's 38 years old, and his body hurts, and he doesn't want to waste it by having a stiff jog out to right field and doing that 18 times a night times 162 games, he might look at you and go, hey, man, like, I'm going to take my damn time going out to the outfield because I'm not wasting it on a 75% stride out the field. And to be honest with you, that's when I realized that these guys are really, really tough. And I played against a kid in college. His name was Tommy LaStella. My dad's listening right now. It's his favorite hitter that he ever watched play. He loves Tommy LaStella. I don't know if because he's a left-handed hitting Italian.
I know Tommy
from the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
That could be part of it. Year. But he told our other assistant, Coach Bowman, who he played with at Coastal, he's like, man, like, you're in the first base dugout. I'm playing third. He's like, I'm running out to the field. I'm running back in. He's like, I'm playing second base. We're in the third base dugout. I'm running all the way out there, all the way back in. And I'm doing that 18 times a night. He's like, you may not think it, man, but think about doing 20 sprints, 20, 50-yard sprints every night. Like, that wears down your body a little bit.
Of course.
So if you're going to walk out to the field or maybe take a little bit of a slower walk, like, it's not because they're not hustling or they're not playing hard. It's like, and you just got off of a cross-country road trip. Now you got to go, like, you're going to save your body. And that's when I kind of started to realize, like, okay, I understand why when Manny Machado hits a ground ball back to the pitcher, he's not going to sprint because he's out. It's fake hustle at that point. Like, I'm going to save my body. I'm not going to rip a hamstring running down the line so that people yell at me for not playing hard like that.
I got a player that plays on the Mets right now and used to play for the Yankees that a lot of fans have taken shots at for not hustling, and his name is Robinson Cano, which to me, I think it's absolutely appalling when, as a Yankee fan, he was the best player on the Yankees for, 5 years, and Yankee fans just attacked him. Oh, he doesn't hustle. He doesn't. Oh, but by the way, he's only batting .320 as a second baseman and hits 38 home runs and gives about 100 RBIs.
He was a power second baseman before power second basemen were popular.
I just think it's absolutely ridiculous to talk about a player that doesn't hustle. But Bryce Harper, he hustles, and players say that he doesn't hustle enough. I think it's crazy.
Right. Or people will hustle and then they'll say he's fake hustling. Mm-hmm. So it's at the end of the day, you're going to play the way you were taught how to play. Like, the other part of it is the culture of where of how you grew up playing the game. Like, Robinson Cano grew up playing in Latin America.
Yep.
Like,
Dominican Republic. Yep.
In the Dominican Republic, exactly. So, like, when it's time for him to run hard, he's going to run hard. But he was probably taught, like, if you get a ground ball to second base, you're out. Don't kill yourself. the Yankees are paying Robinson Cano, or the Mets are paying Robinson Cano to hit in the 3-hole, and like you said, hit 320 and hit 40 home runs. But if you hit a ground ball to the second baseman, and you're busting your ass down the line, and you rip your hamstring, well, how are you supposed to produce? Like, sometimes there's got to be some give and take, and I think sometimes that's where the understanding of the player and the day-to-day grind that it is of playing professional baseball, with the travel and just the mental grind and the physical grind that it has on your body. Listen, you hit a single and he bobbles it and you're barely at first base, like, that's on you. Like, that's not playing hard. But if you hit a ground ball to short and you have a stiff jog down the line, to me, that's not at the major league level. To me, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I really don't. But I could also be a little bit more new school than other people, so I don't want to offend anybody.
I don't think you're offending anybody. I think a lot of people would agree with you, especially the way the game has gone. And
my question to you is, as a fan, right? Do you want to watch Pete Alonso play first base, or do you want to watch their AAA? I don't even know who their AAA first baseman is. Come up and play first base because Pete tried to bust out an infield single. No, I'd rather watch Pete Alonso try to hit the balls.
I will tell you this. I've never seen, and I'm a Yankee fan, I have never seen Pete Alonso not hustle. So I think he is.
Correct. I was just
I got you.
As an example
I got
as
you.
far as like the ability-wise. And I think that's where people need to, at the end of the day, like professional sports, it's entertainment.
Right.
And, I think that's, and a lot of times organizations are probably telling you, they're huge actors. A lot of times these managers are telling guys like Robinson Cano, like, hey man, you got a ground ball to short, like you're out. I don't need you to be ripping your hamstring and run down the line. Like, just jog and you'll be fine.
Girardi took a lot of slack from Robinson Cano the first year he was there. Girardi took a lot of slack for the fans, and Girardi took all the blame that Robinson Cano was not hustling. And if you remember, and I remember this like it was yesterday, Joe Girardi was being pressed by the press to attack or speak to, and this is the same thing with Gary Sanchez right now. He doesn't hustle. He doesn't do this. He doesn't block the ball. He didn't do this. But tell me a catcher that is in the major leagues right now that can do the things that Sanchez could do behind the plate. And there's only one guy, and you know who he is, and he plays for Philadelphia. So there's only one player that can do with what Gary Sanchez can do, but the fans are not happy with it. And that's Yankee fans. They're spoiled fans. I'll be the first person to say that. So I understand, but hustling is in the mind. If you're yeah, God,
you're right. No, you're 100% right. Now, what I will also say is this. Say this because we're all passionate New York sports fans, right? So New York people want the players that they're rooting for to represent them and how they go about their business. The tough blue collar, like all out mentality. And if you're a lazy player, New York, like, you're going to get chewed up and spit out and thrown away. Like, I'm going to throw a name at you. Do you remember Joe McEwing?
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Joe McEwing's got as much talent in his pinky or in his whole body. Like, you can't compare to Mike Trout's pinky. But Joe McEwing, if he showed up to a Mets event, like back from my generation and older, we'd go crazy for him because of the way he played the game. He played every single position on the field.
Play hard.
He was tough. He represented New York in the right way. And I think that's where people get frustrated when they see these guys making all these millions of dollars and they think they're content. Sometimes that's not the case, and that's where you got to have a little bit of slack and understand, like, maybe he's being told to play a certain way.
As you guys know, we are talking, and we have been talking to James Madison baseball assistant head coach and recruiting coordinator Alex Guerra and Long Island native from Wanta. By the way, shout out to his parents. I know they're listening to. Dad, mom, sisters, brothers. thank you for listening to the show. And Alex, you were great. Tell the fans how they can find you on social media.
Yes, so we got I got my Twitter, AGBaseball9. My Instagram is Alex_Guerra9, and that's really it.
Alex, we want you, when we get off the phone with you, we want you to text us at this number your email address so we can get you the audio. We're going to make something video so we can put it on your Twitter so all the fans can hear the interview. You gave us some good insight, not only with James Madison baseball, your recruiting, but really your family life and baseball as a whole. We really appreciate you joining us. And that we were talking to Loren. We were talking to Loren, and Loren. I spoke to Loren. We have gone down to Virginia. We do play-by-play, and we do so much stuff. We do interviews all around the country. If we ever do go down to Virginia when the season starts, we would love to come down, interview your team, interview some of the coaches in your facility. We would love to check out your new facility.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you guys. You guys are welcome here anytime. I appreciate you putting JMU in our baseball program, in the spotlight for a little bit, and it's a pleasure being on here, and it's always good to talk to people from back home.
Absolutely. And you want to know something?
Thanks, guys, for everything you do.
And you want to know something? In the long run, my friend, we would absolutely love when you come out here, you come and visit your family, to come and do a live show with us. We would love.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that. You got it. That's no problem. I'm going to hold you to that.
Oh,
maybe up here in the next month. So
man, I'll tell you right now, we have no problems getting you into the studio and talking a little baseball and sports with you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Alex Guerra, ladies and gentlemen, great interview. I loved it. To me, he gave us some good insight. The fact that he's a Long Islander, by the way, he's got a Virginia accent. He does. So he's been there a little too long, Dad. Before we go, and we're not going to any break, I do want to speak about, and I will get more into this on Thursday, there is something that bothers me about professional sports. And the players run professional sports right now. And LeBron James and company in the NBA, to be exact, in the sports world, and I'm not even talking about the NFL or the MLB, because we all know there are players that like to stand up and speak for the players, and there are some players that like to keep it quiet. The NBA has bothered me for the last 15 years, okay? And what bothers me about the NBA more than anything is you got players like LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, who just retired, Chris Paul. They have so much input of what's going on in the sports world that you forget they're not the owners of the organization. They're not the fans that pay them their salaries. And they're not the NBA PA, and they're not ownership, okay? And LeBron James, and I'm going to say this, and I like LeBron James. I think he's a great talent. He's one of the greatest NBA players we've seen. Definitely I've seen in my lifetime. I mean, Michael Jordan's the greatest, but this man has not only ruined the game of basketball, okay? He has completely opened his mouth more than once that affects not only the game, but it affects the players for playing the game. And this is a guy that has completely ruined the sport, and you know this more than anything, Speedy, when he has put you look at the game, you need 3 superstars. He's the one that really transferred the game to what he wants the game to be. Now teams are looking for 3 superstars instead of having one great player, one good player, and a bunch of good players coming off the bench. And I think he's ruined the game. I think he's affected the game. And now the league, and Adam Silver, who is the greatest commissioner in professional sports, is trying to figure out a way where the salary cap is not going to allow 3 superstars on a team. You look at the Golden State Warriors. Why were the Golden State Warriors so dominant for their 3 championships? Well, the answer is because they had Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. And obviously, they didn't have Kevin Durant for one of the championships, but they had him for 2 of them, okay? To me, the game and the players have affected the game and ruined the game of the NBA. And now you going into the NBA playoffs, you already know probably who's going to be in the NBA Finals in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. And the reason why is because the game is practically put on a platter for the players. LeBron James wanted Anthony Davis. Everybody said Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis was not traded by the Pelicans. The Pelicans fired their GM after he decided not to trade him because he thought that the Pelicans were getting ripped off with the Anthony Davis move. And then what happens? LeBron James got what he wanted anyways in the offseason. He got Anthony Davis. He runs the sport. The players run the sport. When Michael Jordan played, guys, and this, to me, affects the game. When Michael Jordan played the game, Michael Jordan didn't do that. You're talking about a guy that had the Jordan rules. We talked about this with the Grizzlies play-by-play guy.
Castletine.
Michael Jordan didn't even have to do that. And you have LeBron James ruining the game of basketball. And he's got a lot to say about everything. And I'm not even going to get into what he has been saying about the George Floyd thing. It's despicable. And the NBA needs to step out in public. Adam Silver, I don't care how popular LeBron James is, or Chris Paul, or any of their superstars, step in the limelight and say, you know what? Who cares what the players say? I'm the boss. I'm the leader. I'm the commissioner. It's despicable. And the NBA needs to figure this out because, to me, the game is no fun to watch anymore as a Knicks fan.
Now, do you think, going back to your initial question, do you think it's just an NBA problem, though, or is it a league, other league problem?
It's an NBA problem. It's a league problem, too. I mean, a lot of other players from other different sports open their mouths and say what they feel. But LeBron James has ruined the game of basketball. He's hurt the game of basketball. And I don't care what anybody says. If LeBron's son comes to the league, Dwayne Wade's son comes to the league, Chris Paul's son comes in the league, we're going to have this for a very long time until we have another spokesman or another player that will step into the limelight and say, you know what? I don't need two superstars next to me. I can win it with subpar players at best. I'm a champion. I know how to win championships, and I don't need a superstar next to me, or I don't need two superstars next to me to win a championship. The game has really affected what I see the NBA going. There's a lot of money. Adam Silver has made a lot of money for the NBA. So has all the other commissioners in professional sports, Gary Bettman, Rob Manfred, and Roger Goodell. That's why they're very wealthy guys, and they know how to make money. And me and you, Speedy, could be commissioners of a league and figure out how to bring endorsements and sponsorships to a major organization like those.
You could sign up to be NFL commissioner right now, and you'd already do better than Roger Goodell.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think, though, too, I think you're right. The players are more outspoken, even across all leagues in general. Now, again, I don't know if it necessarily affects GM strategy in certain sports. Like, I think it definitely does in basketball. There's no doubt about that. It's a player-run league. I think maybe now we're seeing a little bit of it in the NFL, but I still don't think it dominates the way of you still need to develop players well, you still need to draft well, and you still need to, again, get certain positions that you need, premier positions. MLB, we've seen some players get overpaid, and then we've also seen players wait forever to have to get a contract. So I think I don't know if it's the same logic. I think GMs are being a little smarter in baseball and trying to not give past money to players.
Control.
Players that did well in the past. They judge more, and I think we had this conversation with one of our guests last week with future projections of what they could do and what they could be. And that's what baseball is doing. Hockey is kind of the same thing. They more homegrown players. They'll sign a free agent here and there, and they'll sign them pretty long, kind of like baseball does. I think it's a very similar type of operation. They have a minor league system. The NBA is, I think, really the biggest exception to everything, and I think the biggest exception you'll ever see in any sport.
And Adam Silver is one of the smartest commissioners in professional sports. So if there's anybody that can figure out a way to stop guys like LeBron James controlling the league and controlling it the way he wants it, because LeBron James got what he wanted. He got Anthony Davis. He got all the players he needed to win a championship this year. And I'm telling you right now, they're probably going to win this year. I mean, it's either them or the Clippers in the Western Conference. And in the Eastern Conference, it's Milwaukee or the Celtics. That's what I think. Right. To me, The game has absolutely affected the way we look as fans of what the game should be. And it's a shame because you got guys like Michael Jordan, who we saw The Last Dance, and we respect Michael Jordan because even though he was a crazy lunatic on the court, the guy won. And I want to hear about Scottie Pippen because Scottie Pippen asked Skip Bayless. Scottie Pippen, in his eyes, and he practically ran the Bulls basketball section of their newspaper over there for almost 10 years in the great years of the Chicago Bulls. And even Skip Bayless said he wouldn't even put Scottie Pippen in his top 50. So when you hear that from somebody like Skip Bayless, it just shows you how great Michael Jordan was. Mm-hmm. And Michael Jordan didn't need the other superstars. Look what he did with the Bullets when he went over there to the Bullets. He was getting better and better as the games went by. Go look at his last 10 games before he tore his meniscus. He was averaging 27 points a game, and they were on their way to the playoffs.
Were they? I was just going to ask. Were they ever a consistent playoff team when he was there?
No, he only played 1 year, and then he tore his meniscus. All right. So Michael Jordan. He was on his way. He was figuring things out. He was averaging his last 10 games. He was averaging 27.5 points a game.
Wow. Okay.
So, I mean, come on, guys. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time, and even Michael Jordan wouldn't have done that. And you ask Michael Jordan, I've seen the documentaries. I've seen it. Michael Jordan said he would never go to another team and join forces with another player of his choosing. He would never.
Now, I have a question with that, though. I agree with you on the whole notion. The whole notion is stupid. Now, the NBA has also always had a parity problem, though, for the most part. Look at the 80s. We were talking about it yesterday with Eric. A lot of the NBA finals were the Lakers or the Celtics, seemingly every year. Then it was the Bulls, seemingly every year. It seems like they always have a parity problem where there's just maybe a lot of bad teams as well, though, too, even in just different eras.
And no, I think it's all the players. You have all the great players on one team or two teams or three teams, and there's no parity. There's none. And that's the problem right now with the NBA. And there's only one person and one person only that can fix this, and that's Adam Silver. Adam Silver is going to have to find a way because right now you're looking at Golden State. They just made a move. They added Andrew Wiggins. I don't know how they added D'Angelo Russell in the offseason from a sign and trade from the Nets. They practically gave the Golden State Warriors, they're going to get the number one pick this year. And they have Steph Curry coming back. And they have Klay Thompson coming back. And they have Draymond Green. And they could get Wiseman. Mm-hmm. This is not fair. And the NBA needs to figure out a way to fix the game. And LeBron James has ruined the game, no matter how great he is as a player. And I love him as a player. He has ruined the game.
I think the only way, unfortunately, that we're going to see this happen is if some other, I guess, counterculture or exception to the rule team we see win a championship. I think that's the only way we're ever going to see that, just because the players love each other too much. And you're right, it's unfortunate the way it is. LeBron has ruined the game for that reason. I think the only way you'll ever see that is some surprise team that comes out of nowhere. We saw it with Dallas 1 year with the first year LeBron was in Miami, but that was really it. The Raptors even last year, they didn't have stars galore, but they had Kawhi Leonard, so that's still a star to look at. And it seems like every other champion was either the Warriors or the Spurs who had stars. All these teams had them, and they were just adding more and more just because of that. So the only way that'll happen is we see a consistent trend, I think, of these middle or smaller market teams that just grow players on their own, develop them well, kind of like what the Spurs were when Popovich first started there. You need something like that to really set the trend, and maybe players won't do that as much. Maybe players will be thinking, all right, this team has some good young players. This team has a great coach. Maybe I'll go there instead, and rather than saying, all right, I'm going to go team up with this guy because I like him.
And that's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank Loren, LaPorte, and Alex Guerra for joining us. I want to apologize to the fans that they couldn't see the video feed. We had some technical difficulties on the other side. It was not us. It was on the other side. So I will tell you guys this. We will be back on Thursday. Everything should be up and running, so there will be no problems there. I'd like to thank all the fans that did tune in and listen to the show. Thank you. We will get the audio files and on your Twitter so everybody can see the Twitter feed. We'll add pictures to it so you guys can see us a little bit. Speedy will fix that. Again, I'd like to apologize for the technical difficulties, but we still had the show. You could still listen to the audio. So we're very happy that everything somewhat moved in the right direction. So, again, I'd like to thank all the fans for listening to us, and we will be back Thursday. Remember, You can call us at 631-965-4990. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us on our app. How do you do that? You go to iOS, WWSRN, or you can go to Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Our label, our logo is right there. We have a beautiful, beautiful app for all you fans. I worked really, really hard with my designers, spent a lot of money. So this is for you guys. I want all the fans to download it. Please, if you don't have it, download it. It's for you. Until Thursday, this is Errol Marks and Speedy Petey and Down to the Wire saying good night, and we'll talk to you then. Good night, everybody.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.